Mr. K. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, all. My name is James Kerouac from Kerouacs Cruising, and me and my wife, Kara, are starting a podcast about cruising around, dispersed camping, road tripping with dogs, camping at campgrounds, but moving around, and we've had quite the journey so far in life. So we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves. We're going to tell you where we've been, where we're at right now, and where we're going to go with this podcast. So I was born in Lowell, Massachusetts, pretty much grew up in the Massachusetts, New Hampshire area until I graduated high school. I graduated high school at Conval High School, which is in Peterborough, New Hampshire. A year after I graduated, I had a child. I started working in fast food, quickly became a general manager, worked in the fast food industry for the next 24 years. Stuck kind of in a rut, overweight. They talk about work-life balance in those industries, but they don't really mean it. You're working 10, 12 hours, 5, 6 days a week. One of my dreams always was to be able to come out west and explore the Grand Canyon and this beautiful area. So I actually quit and moved to Tucson, Arizona, tried to get a job outside of the food industry, but there was nothing in Tucson that paid anything except for what I knew, which was fast food. So stayed in the fast food industry there. So really never got out of it. I did some side work, but really just stayed in fast food. I still was trying to hike, still was trying to camp and do all the things I love, but it was just like being stuck. I dreamed about moving up to northern Arizona to the Grand Canyon area. Really just wanted to move up north. I had met Kara in 2010, and I had pretty much convinced her, bribed her that it was a good idea to move out of the city. A friend of mine had gotten a job as a CEO of a restaurant that they were opening a new restaurant along the 40 and a truck stop. He knew I was looking to get up there, to move up there, so offered me a job, paid for me to move. I moved to Williams, Arizona, which is a 1 hour outside of the Grand Canyon Park, and knew I didn't want to rent. So I really wanted to buy property, and I had researched it back in like 2003. So I always dreamed about it. Open that truck stop. I think it took us 6 months to get to the Grand Canyon. Maybe we got there a little quicker, but it was a while before we even got to the Grand Canyon.
I looked at the pictures yesterday. April 15th of 2016 was the first time I saw the Grand Canyon.
So, and we moved up there in January 2015. So it took us a year before we actually made it out to the Grand Canyon. Finally did, but then we started searching for property. We put an offer on a property. We didn't get it. And then lo and behold, we find a beautiful piece of property with unbelievable views. We put in an offer on that property. We ended up buying the 40 acres. And really in 2017, closed on the property. Kara and I, every day off now, is on the property, developing it to be able to live off grid and really start a new life.
I kind of have a similar story to James, except some of the stuff that he left out is he pretty much grew up in the great outdoors in New Hampshire, spending a lot of time hiking, mountain climbing, mountain biking, snowmobiling, skiing, all that sort of stuff. I was a city girl. I was born in Philadelphia. Family moved to Tucson when I was 10, and we had camped a little bit when we lived in Pennsylvania. My dad was a big hunter. Once we moved to Tucson, there was no more of that. So all of my outdoor experience was prior to 10 years old. I did enjoy bike riding and roller skating for a time when I was a kid. But other than that, I was straight up a city girl. When I met James, my hobby was partying. I started out working in fast food as a teenager. And eventually ended up meeting James. I was his assistant. We were fast friends, eventually became lovers. And like he said, he wanted to move north. He was done with the heat in Tucson. And I always loved Flagstaff. I had gone to a field trip in high school in Flagstaff and I fell in love with it. So Northern Arizona, I was A-okay with that. And it really seemed like the second we decided that we wanted to move to Northern Arizona, he put it out there. The friend that
the universe made it happen.
The universe made it happen. Yeah, that friend called shortly after. I mean, it couldn't have been months. And he was desperate, really. He kind of begged for James to take the opportunity. And there was really nothing holding us in Tucson at that point. Most of my friends had moved out of Tucson. They paid him to end our lease and we packed up and moved. James found an apartment and the rest is history. We were ready to go. It was time. It was the easiest move. It was easier to move than it was to stay in Tucson. That's for sure. The universe made sure of that. You know, as he said, we opened the truck stop. We really worked really hard, but we played really hard too. And then we found this property, same thing, fell all together at the right time. It just seemed like the moment we were ready to move forward with this part of our life, the property presented itself. We got an amazing deal for 40 gorgeous acres in northern Arizona. And that was kind of the start of the end, I guess. It really changed our life. Once we started coming out here every weekend, building it and developing it, took us 6 months to get it to where we could actually move out here in a camper trailer off grid. Had no electricity. We had to haul our water, which started out with 5-gallon buckets of water that we would take from the restaurant that we worked at, bring it here, and with a funnel pour it into our RV. And that was the water that we had for the day. James had done a little camping septic for us. We just had a generator that would charge the batteries. That was all the electricity we had for the day. We would run it for a couple of hours while we brewed our coffee in the morning. After a few months, James built our solar system, and we kind of never looked back after that. It's all been a big forward push.
And so we started in the camper. The first winter was not great. We struggled. So Kara's like, we need the house built right away. We need to finish and get something up, a real structure. Campers are not well insulated. Our heater went out halfway through the winter. I had to fix the heater outside in the freezing cold. It was a brutal job.
We had nights where we ran out of propane in the middle of the night. So we're out there. There was one particular night, it's blizzarding.
The propane tank.
Blizzarding. We're changing propane tanks in the middle of the night. We had a structure after we upgraded from dumping 5-gallon buckets of water into our trailer. We had
I did connect the water system.
We had a water cistern is what we call it, but it's a tub of water that was hooked up to an on-demand water pump. And that entire cistern had frozen solid for like 3 or 4 days. We had it insulated, didn't matter. It had gotten so cold. A lot of people don't realize northern Arizona, we're higher in elevation. Where we live specifically is 6,200 feet in elevation. So our winters are pretty brutal with how dry it is. There's no humidity to hold the sun's heat from day to night. So being below 0 degrees happens.
You'll get below 0 for at least a week.
Mm-hmm. After that first winter, like he said, RVs and trailers just really aren't made to survive comfortably in the winter months. I told him I was not doing another winter in the trailer. We needed to build our house. And of course, this is all in between having full-time job.
Full-time.
James was still working in Williams.
50, 60 hours a week.
45 minutes south of us. I, at the time, was working in Flagstaff, an hour drive from us. We did eventually transfer into serving at the Grand Canyon National Park. So all of our free time was spent developing our property.
So we got really a shed delivered. So it's just 4 walls, a roof, no insulation, none of that stuff, no floor. Everything's just plywood. And then the inside insulation started, drywall, and then sinks, toilets, showers, flooring, all that stuff. Again, just pretty much me and Kara built all that. And we did that pretty much in one summer, but we didn't have cabinets yet.
Yeah, all that stuff came later.
But before winter, we got the heat. Everything we do is we get a bunch of money and then it's a rush. So we got a bunch of money. I bought a heater system. I bought a hot water tank. I bought oven, refrigerator, and we go like maniacs installing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But we did get it done. And I think before November 1st.
Yeah, I think we moved in October.
Really good space for cooking. We cook all our own meals here. And good to wash and shower and stuff. Pretty small, but it works.
It's invaluable to us right now. So for what it is, it's absolutely perfect. 1-room cabin that has a space to shower, sleep, and it's all kitchen otherwise, which is fantastic for us.
So I obviously quit fast food, and we had really from 2017 until the pandemic, we had, in my opinion, terrific jobs. I was a night server. Kara was a night server. We're going in at 4:00. The restaurant's open at 5. Restaurant closes at 10. Sometimes you're there till midnight, depending how busy it is. It is the Grand Canyon. We bought and paid for everything out here. We've been living it. The pandemic happened. Boom. Everything stops. The park shuts down. And now we're not working. We actually decided that.
We liked it that way.
Yeah, we kind of liked it that way. So
we got to spend all of our time doing everything that we love to do, being where we love to be, and spending our time with those we want to spend all of our time with. So it was an eye-opening experience. And then when we did go back to work, not only were we changed, but the whole rest of the world changed.
guests changed, and it
Yeah.
was
If you
even
work,
our work environment changed.
yes, if you work in customer service and you stuck with it, man, major kudos to you. People really change that. What I've witnessed, not a whole lot has even still changed in that. And we're now coming into 4 years later. And I think the pandemic really affected how humans treat other humans. And I think we're both just completely done with being abused, whether it be by managers, your coworkers, or your guests or customers. So we had gone into seasonal work. We left the restaurant industry and I started doing Grand Canyon tours, which was great. I've had a lot of fun with that. James started working as a shuttle driver for one of the glamping resorts in the area. He got to take kids on field trips,
I had a
doctor's appointments,
great job.
shopping. Yeah.
Great
We've had a
job.
lot of fun where we work. I was working 9 months out of the year. James was working
March to October 31st, and Kara was working March until November 30th. So I got to have months off. It was great. Got to travel.
Filled all of our free time with doing odds and ends work. I am a licensed real estate agent, so I do side work for that. I've done various freelance writing work. James does construction work or works on vehicles, whatever anybody needs, not only to help out friends and family with the skills that he has, but to earn that little bit of extra pocket cash.
I've been living off grid now for 7 years, and we're starting a new venture. The last couple years, since we've had these seasonal jobs, we've been able to travel a lot. We took a month off and literally drove to Maine from Arizona, came down the coast, stopped in North Carolina, and then came right back to Arizona. Great trip. The last few winters going to my son's house in Sandpoint, Idaho. Road tripping up there. So we're driving up there. We're not flying. We're driving 24 hours away, and we're doing it 3 8-hour days, making the best out of it. So we got a little taste of that. And then this past summer, we took a month off and we drove to my son's again in Idaho pretty fast. I think we did it in 2 days. We were in a rush to get up there.
He's in a rush to go on vacation.
Yeah. And it was a great vacation. So we got to spend some time in Idaho, but then on the way back, because it was summer, August, the whole month of August we took off, we went through Yellowstone. Now, I've been living here in Arizona. Only place I really have discovered is the Grand Canyon, a little bit of Sedona and Tucson, obviously, but really only touched the surface of what I moved out west to see, which is Yosemite, Yellowstone, Glacier, Zion. There's so much around here to see, so much vast wilderness. So we went through Yellowstone and Grand Tetons. That's how we came home, and then through Utah. And what an experience that was. So then we get home, go back to work. So finish the season, gonna head back to Idaho, and was involved in a car accident.
The night before we were supposed to leave.
The night before we were supposed to leave for Idaho to spend the winter with my son, we get in a car accident, and now we're not working and we're hunkered down. We're going to doctor's appointments and physical therapy, whatever, doing all that stuff post-accident you do. Sitting around the house, reading books. We decided that that's what we really like to do is road trip, go cruising, and we're going to buy an RV. We're going to have Kerouacs Cruising, which is going to be a podcast that we're going to do.
This podcast
listening
to.
And Kara's going to post a bunch of stuff that we're doing on the website, taking pictures along the way. And she said she's even going to write a blog about it. But we're going to bring you what we're doing, dispersed camping, camping at campgrounds, whatever we're doing. And we're going to find some awesome spots that we're going to map out for you to be able to visit these spots, give you information about the area. And our first couple podcasts are going to be the areas we know, which is the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Williams, and Tucson. And then we're going to be road tripping to Idaho. My son's having a baby, and we're going to be up there for the first part of that. And we're going to be going around Sandpoint, Idaho, recording our podcast.
Ultimately, we're closing up one chapter and heading into the next. So we're going to, as James said, wrap up the Grand Canyon here, give you guys all the information that we have and we know about this area. We talked a little bit about us. Now we're going to talk about our puppers, the rest of the Kerouacs. They kind of help drive us to the lifestyle that we have, in that it's kind of as much of our passion to be happy and free as much as it is to allow our dogs to be happy and free. So we got Jules, about a year, maybe 2 years into us dating. So Jules is a black lab, chocolate lab mix. She is still to this day at about 12 years old, a very high energy dog. Anybody who's ever had labs, I'm sure that you can relate. She had a lot of separation anxiety. And again, we were both working in the food service industry, would work a lot of hours. So she would have a lot of time home by herself and she would just eat everything. She had eaten an entire sectional, holes into the carpet all the way down to the subflooring, door frames, just everything. James would spend a lot of his free time trying to run her energy out. If you're not super familiar with Tucson, I'm sure everybody knows that it's hot. And we're talking summer days, it'd be over 100 degrees, blazing sunshine. And James is taking this dog on 6-7 mile walks to get this energy out of her.
And she's not walking. She's going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, running, darting the whole
facing
way.
coyotes in the wash and road runners.
She was just the kind of dog that if we were to take her on a leash, it wouldn't have done what she needed to get her energy out. It seemed cruel to keep her on a leash. And she so desperately wanted to make us happy. She was a really easy train otherwise. Great with voice commands. We would walk past another dog and we'd tell her to stay with us. She would stay right at our legs. Easy train. So that kind of started it. I mean, we spent all of our free time trying to get her energy out, but a lot of people get uncomfortable with dogs off leash. So we tried to find the most remote areas in and around Tucson that we could. We spent a lot of times walking in the washes.
Madera Canyon, Mount Lemon, Reddington Pass, Gates Pass. I mean, we would drive 30 minutes just to bring this dog
to go
so she could be off leash and just go for it.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of, I guess, has slowly helped push our mindset because
to get out of the city.
Yeah, because we always wanted Jules to be happy. And one of the reasons I really wanted a dog, we had actually gotten robbed when we lived in Tucson. Somebody broke into our home.
We weren't home, thank God.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And they stole all our
We didn't
really
have much.
crap.
We've always kind of
our crap.
We always kind of have been minimalist. So I had like a PlayStation 2, which was already outdated, a DVD player, television. Oh, we had just bought the television. We were about to have a Super Bowl party. So that was kind of heartbreaking.
It was 4 cases of beer on the kitchen floor. They didn't even touch it.
They didn't take the beer. They just took the electronics.
That's stupid as shit.
It was really weird. I guess maybe they were Bud Light drinkers. After that, I was really nervous about being home alone. I never answer the front door. And one of the things the police officers had said that a lot of the time these thieves will knock on the door and then break in if nobody answers. So I became really afraid of being home alone. So we started looking for a dog. We wanted a dog with a big bark that was going to alert us if somebody's around that shouldn't be around. And so we got Jules. She totally fit that bill. Her bark is deep. It is loud. It is scary. If somebody were to actually break in the house, she'll start doing the full body wags and just want pats. But they don't know that before they do it. But this created issues with us now from here on out. Everywhere we lived, people were always complaining about our dog barking. And it's what I wanted. I felt safer and more comfortable with it. So that kind of helped push us wanting more property, outside of James's dream of being able to piss off his deck and nobody be able to see to complain about it. So we had Jules. She was great and wonderful, but she still had this terrible anxiety. And we had a lot of friends push us to crate train. We had never crate trained. So for me, it seemed cruel at the time. I understand now, I learned more since that dogs are den animals and a lot of them really do feel safe and more comfortable when you do enclose them. It becomes a home for them. At that time, I didn't see it that way. So the way we fixed the problem was get another dog. And it really, really did the trick. Her name was Sadie. She was a lot of fun. Her and Jules were the best of friends. She was a black lab, black German Shepherd mix.
Black lab, black German Shepherd. Beautiful dog.
Beautiful baby. Her energy kept right up with Jules. She was a rescue, 6 months old. She, again, easy train. She just wanted to be with us. She just wanted to appease us. She wanted anything that we wanted from her. So she was really great off leash, even around other people and other dogs. Unfortunately, she got in a scuffle, which is definitely the downside of letting your dogs roam free. She got in a scuffle with a javelina and damaged her irreparably. So we made the tough decision because it seemed like the most humane thing to do. And I still think today it was to go ahead and put her down. So we had actually only had her for about a year. Very soon after that, a friend moved in with us for a short time, needed a little boost to get out on her own again. And she had a Norwegian Lundhound. If you're not familiar with the breed, it's a farrowing dog for the snow. So he's a long-haired dog, a smaller dog. We didn't have Jules fixed. And shortly after they moved in, she went into heat. We did everything we could to separate them. Eyes were off of them for 30 seconds maybe, and now we have Bella. So Bella is Jules's baby. She's 2 years younger than Jules, so about 10 years old now. So she's Black Lab, Chocolate Lab, and Norwegian Lundhound mix. So she's a little bit shorter than Jules. She's actually stockier, long-haired, and she's yellow in color. She looks like a yellow lab. These two have been Laverne and Shirley. They have been the best of friends. They get along really great. They play really well. We've had some other dogs intermittently in between. We've essentially fostered dogs for times. Jules and Bella, they're okay with sharing their attention with each other for us. They don't really like sharing the attention with other dogs. So we were pretty happy with just the two of them. But we got to the point where we really decided we wanted a male dog. James has been a little bit outnumbered by the three of us. Now, as we've been living out here and the girls are getting older, we've been kind of talking for a couple of years about getting a male dog. We did foster a male dog for a few years and really, really, really loved that dog. He was a stubborn pain in the butt, but when he left, we really felt the emptiness. So while we were working in the national park, we met a gentleman who happened to be having a litter of Rottweiler Pit Bull mixes.
Boxer.
Rottweiler boxer mixes. We put out there that if he's got any males available, we would definitely be interested in it. And after we left the park, the gentleman reached out to us that he had a male puppy for us if we were ready to take him. And then we got Norman. So Norman is adorable little monster. He was a tough train. We think he's Rottweiler, Boxer, Pit Bull mixed, and then some kind of hound dog also. He's got a little bit of everything, it seems.
He's a res dog.
He's a res dog. He likes to howl. He's always got his nose to the ground. He's always hunting, but he never wants to leave the homestead. Jules and Bella, they'll go wandering off. We call it hunting. They just go sniffing for sniffs. If a hole smells, they'll dig through it until they decide that it doesn't smell like animal anymore. And then they move on to the next. Then they'll take off for hours at a time. I mean, there's been times where they're gone for 6 or 8 hours. We haven't seen them and they come home. They're covered in dirt. Their tongue is hanging down to the ground. They're panting, happier than hell. Norman never does that. He won't leave. He has his perimeter around the house is the furthest that he goes. I guess it's the perimeter he keeps around us. When we go for a walk, he comes with us, but he keeps that perimeter. He never lets himself get too far away from us. So he's a really, really great dog, really, really protective. So we've had a really difficult time training him off leash. At first, and we've with training him hardcore, and we've gotten him really, really, really good. He used to, I mentioned that he doesn't go anywhere, but if he's not ready to come in the house, he really loves his freedom. He just really likes not being locked in the house. And so when he didn't want to come in at night, we used to sit outside and try to call him for forever. And now we don't have to do that anymore. Any voice commands, he listens immediately. He's going to be 3 now. And we've just really gotten him trained up so good where he wants to do whatever we ask of him. He looks forward to any commands we give him. I think he really likes pets and treats. So he
he loves
really
to
good.
play.
Yeah, and I think that stubborn puppy is out of him now. So the pack of them between Jules, Bella, and Norman, they're really a lot of fun. They all will wrestle a little bit for attention. These two have been inseparable, Jules and Bella, for the last 10 years. Before Norman, Jules coming into 12 years old now. We think that she's might only have a year or 2 left in her. Bella's starting to really slow down. For now, it's just
3 dogs.
And let them live it up until their last days. As many adventures as we can give them, as many sniffs as we can help them find, take them with us everywhere we go. We notice every time we go on these seasonal breaks, we're out of work for a while, we're spending a lot of time with them. And then we go back to work, they don't like it at all. And that's heartbreaking. You know, they miss us as much as we miss them. We are their entire life. So it makes it more difficult to go to work every day because these poor babies are just locked up in our little yard we have for them. Just want to go out and explore, and we can't let them do that.
They have a bigger dog yard, and they're allowed in the house when we're not here.
Well,
Better than most humans.
Jules loves her bed snuggles.
That's our family.
That's
how we're going to travel.
That's our love.
And we're going to bring you all the excitement you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, can considered the
Kerouac
drama.
Cruising.
Hi, Norm.
And we're going to give you where we stay, dispersed camping, hopefully, most places. But if anybody's ever done long-term camping, you still got to make your once-a-week trip to the RV park so you can clean your septic and fill back up with water, vacuum, all that fun stuff. So you do need to get a camp spot once a week at least.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of the time, we're going to be cruising, finding places to set up that you can stay for up to 14 days. That's our goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that's it for now because we are on a tight schedule and it's time for the dogs to go for a walk.
Normie's asking for his.
He's supposed to go for a walk at 3, and it's a little after.
We really hope you enjoyed our first episode and getting to know us a bit. Don't forget to visit our website and blog to see pictures of our journey so far and to show your support for our upcoming adventures. And if you're feeling chatty, please join the conversation at KerouacsCruising.com, Facebook at Kerouacs Cruising, or email us at join@KerouacsCruising.com. Be sure to check out our next episode where we're going to dig into camping at the Grand Canyon. Again, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.